Welcome to the IDP Hunter Podcast on the Fantasy Six-Pack Network. Today, we're going to discuss camp battles in minicamp, okay? We got a lot of rookies that are pushing forward, moving ahead. We got offense, we got defense today. My guest tonight is Jamie Perog of the Going for Two Live and the Sunday Start Show, and our current IDP analyst over at the Fantasy Six-Pack. What's going on, Jamie?
Oh, thanks for having me again, Steve. Love being here with you.
Heck yeah. And you know what? A lot of people, they talk regular season, they talk preseason, they talk OTAs. People don't really talk about minicamp. Well, that's where the money's made, right? That's where the blood happens. That's where these depth chart position battles happen. I'll tell you, there's so many rookies right now that are on the cusp of just getting there, especially IDP. I don't know how it is for you, Jamie, on offense, but at IDP, it's all about opportunity. So you get that linebacker, that young defensive end. If he can just get on the field and show what he got, become a three-down player, get some good snaps, he's going to be somebody. Do you got any guys on your offense that you're thinking about same way as I am with IDP? Let's talk these rookies that maybe they got some veterans in front of them, but they're in for a really good mini camp position battle. What you got, Jamie?
The one that I want to talk about is Will Shipley versus Kenneth Gainwell.
That's a good one.
Because they just drafted Shipley. They do love Gainwell. They kept him on the team. So they're going to be fighting for that number 2 spot behind Saquon Barkley. So that's one I'm going to be keeping an eye on like all summer long. Running backs are more about not earning their opportunity, but like if Barkley gets hurt, there's going to be some kind of a split between Shipley and Gainwell, and I want to see which one comes out on top, and that's who I want on my roster.
Heck yeah. I like that one. I'm going to kick it back to you. I'm thinking about defensive linemen. There's a rookie. His name's Marshawn Kneeland of the Dallas Cowboys.
Yes.
All he's got to do is, he's going up against DeMarcus Lawrence and Sam Williams, but he's a 6'3", 235-pound defensive lineman, man. He's got the size to make it work. He's really good at gap shooting the gap, so he's like a perfect edge rusher. I've been paying attention to him since the combine. He actually ran a little bit faster on the 3-cone than Jared Verse by like 0.29 seconds. And he actually did better than Chop Robinson in the shuttle by 0.7. So if you put all that together, I think Kneeland, if he gets the opportunity and he can beat those two guys in front of him, I know that's a stretch, but as a rookie, Marshawn Kneeland may have a role.
Yeah, the one thing I look at is athleticism also. He was number 4th in his whole position for the DLs.
Mm-hmm.
Just his 40-yard dash, he was in the 98th percentile. His burst score, 97th percentile. His agility score, 100th percentile. Even his speed score was 89. So it's all above the metrics that we want to look at.
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about these rookies. And like I said, staying on the defensive lineman, I'll give you another one here. Bralen Trice of the Falcons. He was a top 6 out of all of our rankings projections before he got drafted by the Falcons. He lands in a perfect landing spot. It's an excellent spot. Trice, all he's got to do is beat out guys like Lorenzo Carter, Zach Harrison to crack this lineup. On top of that, he's a hands in dirt kind of player. He can do actually the 2-point or the 3-point stance. So he's going to get a lot of opportunity to kind of showcase who he is. Fun fact, the Falcons drafted a lot of young defenders that I like. Guys like Dorless, guys like J.D. Bernard, Trice, Rucoroco's there. There's a lot of guys that can factor in, but my money is on Trice, Bralen Trice actually getting in there and maybe cracking his lineup.
Yeah, I thought they were going to go early on the defense, but getting this guy in the 3rd round, he can actually probably step up and get some value for you for your fantasy teams.
Heck yeah. Now, moving on, I guess I'll kick it back to you for some offense, and then I'll move it back to linebacker. Who you got on offense?
This is a tricky one because the Patriots, they just drafted a young quarterback, right?
Yep.
But their receiver room is a huge mess. You just got Polk, drafted him early. You got Baker. We all love Baker as a prospect. And you got Demario Douglas. They brought in KJ Osborne. They still have Kendrick Bourne. Tyquan Thornton's still there. It's like a gadget down the field type guy. Juju's still on the roster. So I'm looking like you can't have all these guys on the roster. They're going to have to cut someone. I'm thinking it's probably going to be Juju. Juju's going to be the odd man out. They just get rid of him. But there's still like 5 decent receivers that we're going to have to keep an eye on. Demario Douglas could be the main one because he knows that offense. Polk will be the second guy up, most likely. Osborne's a veteran. Baker. So just keep an eye on, see who gets the most snaps, like
the
first team reps, and draft those guys.
I like that take. A lot of people are afraid of the Patriots offense because it's been anemic for years, right? We got a new regime in there now. We got a young quarterback. We got Polk. We got Baker. I can see Douglas having a major role. Schuster, for what it's worth right now, Schuster, they're talking about moving on from him. Chiefs may even want him back. And then Parker, what did Parker do? Parker ended up retiring?
No, I don't think Parker's on the team anymore.
No, he's not. He ended up either getting released or he retired, something.
Yeah, so you got Kendrick Bourne and KJ Osborne now.
There's a mess. There's an opportunity for those young receivers to succeed. Mm-hmm. Now, let me ask you, because we prospected both. If you were to go Polk versus Baker, we both looked at these guys. Baker, Polk's a bigger guy. Baker's more of a shooting down the field. Between those two there, most drafts right now, they're saying Polk is the number one, right? But we're saying otherwise, right? We feel a little bit better for Baker. What's your take if you were to do Polk versus Baker's? I guess was what I was asking you.
If I was in a draft, I've been in drafts. I had them both on the board. My mind goes Baker, but the value has to be with Polk just because he was drafted early. Baker usually goes after Polk anyway, so maybe like 5-6 picks later, you can make a trade and get both of them.
Yep. And they're both starting out rookies. Who's to say Baker is going to be the wide receiver one when it's all said and done? Polk could be the wide receiver.
Yeah, I can see that. That would not surprise me at all.
It's all about opportunity. And moving on to our next category, linebacker is certainly all about opportunity, right? It's all about that guy the coach feels comfortable with. Put him in there. I look for 3-down players. I look for guys that are getting all them snaps, kind of like Pac-Man to go around the board. I want this guy to eat. I want this guy to get his magic button or whatever that thing is and chase all the ghosts around the board, right? That's what I want. I want my linebackers to have an amazing opportunity and eat. I'm looking at green dots in this offseason. I'm looking at that may be the kind of like the young quarterback on the field.
Oh, you're freezing up.
Oh, sorry about that. I have 3 potential. Oh, okay, good. Yeah. So Cedrick Gray's my first linebacker, okay? He went to the Titans, excellent landing spot. Last year they had to start over 30 different defenders, okay? So they churn out players down there, okay? It's been reported as of this week, Kenneth Murray's not going to wear the green dot down there. So that opens up an amazing opportunity for rookie Cedrick Gray to win that job as the inside green dot. Now he's going to have to beat out Jack Gibbons, but who's really Jack Gibbons? Come on, guys. The only caveat to this, I did read that Amani Hooker, the defensive back, he could play a key role. He's asking to do the green dot if he needs to. But Cedrick Gray was a guy in college that actually had 2 seasons back-to-back, and he totaled 200 tackles in 2 seasons. I can see him for the role they want. I can see him eating.
Yeah, I agree. Everything you said, man. I'm surprised he fell to the 4th round, actually. I thought he was going to go a little bit earlier than the 4th round. It's kind of like the way people value linebackers this year. They're all going after the Coopers, the Wilsons, and they're letting these the LB5 and LB6s in this rookie draft class kind of fall. And that's Gray's take right there. Gray's a tackler. You know who else is a tackler? My next guy. My other linebacker here is Junior Colston. He goes to the Chargers, okay? He was a defensive captain in college, okay, for his coach, Jim Harbaugh, who he gets again with the Chargers, okay?
not only does Colston know this defensive system, it's Jesse Minter's defensive system. So he knows it. So it's not like he has to reopen a playbook, okay? Because he spent time together with him in Michigan as well, okay? But he's quite the athlete. In fact, he's one of the best off-ball linebackers that you'll see in the country. He led Michigan with 95 tackles and a 4.6 tackle rate. So all he's got to do is beat out the veterans, Deion Henley, who was a third-round pick, the previous season. And then you got Denzel Perryman, who's more of a journeyman now. He used to be very successful with this team his first stint, but, he's a bit older right now, right? I could see Colston at some point challenging for a green dot opportunity. Either way, the Chargers landing spot's an excellent position for him. Him and Gray both are going to be excellent linebackers to own in tackle-heavy leagues.
Oh, yeah, totally agree. Now, between the two linebackers, the one they drafted last year and this year, do you see like a split that they might do like a 50-50 and then just put the hot hand in?
So the thing is with Henley, he's kind of getting overlooked. He was one of third, fourth, regarded linebackers when he came out last year. They did put the green dot on him in the preseason last year for 2 games, and he actually did well. PFF had him ranked really well. So I don't really think that isn't going to have a role at all. But my problem with him is where the heck use him at all. So now you have one of the top linebackers in the country. I think they're going to move on from Henley, and maybe he'll have a side role, or maybe Henley and Perryman will split roles. It's too early to tell. I mean, we'll know more in the preseason, but I think Colston eventually is going to be the cream always rises to the top, Jamie. So I think Colston is going to be eventually the guy here.
Nice.
So I got one more for you at linebacker. The name is Tyrice Knight of the Seahawks. This one here is a little bit more challenging, and he has a little bit of stuff in front of him. But already in minicamp, he's been performing. There's a lot of press reports on him. Tyrice Knight, he's a 6'1", 240-pound linebacker. He made his claim to fame at the combine when he ran a 4.6. That ranked 8th best among the linebackers. But in college too, he accumulated 400 tackles and 10 sacks. And he was pretty good pass defense. I don't know the number, but it was double digits. Several interceptions. He played for a college UTEP, okay? But it's no surprise seeing him get in a place where he can be an inside linebacker. He can be a green dot type of player. He can be one of those guys that gets heavy snaps. He's got to beat out some guys. Jerome Baker, he's not bad, but he's not good either. Jerome Baker is more of an outside linebacker. He's not really good with the tackle efficiency. So I beating him out. The other guy here is Tyrell Dodson. That's everybody's sleeper this offseason. PFF has him highly graded. I'm a little more suspect with Tyrell Dodson because if he was such a great player, why did he get benched a couple times? I think at least 2 Bills. Why was it so hard to fill that position? And then all of a sudden, at the end of the year, he came on. So again, why didn't the Bills re-sign him? I have questions on Dotson. Not to say he's not the guy, not to say he's the green dot like people say, but I am saying it is quite easy. It is quite easy for a Tyrice Knight to go in there and take his job away totally. And actually kind of buying on Julian Love right now. Julian Love, the safety, the tackle hog, he might end up being the green dot when it's all said and done. But as far as these rookies going through depth charts, if I was to take a shot, I'd say Gray definitely, Colston possibly, Knight is a dart throw. What says you, Jamie?
Yeah, no, I agree with the Knight being a dart throw. The one thing, I know he put up like 21 bench presses, so that might work for him. He's got that strength to him, but other than that, who knows? It's all about playing time. We're just going to keep our eye on him.
Believe it or not, I did an article over here. I did for Fantasy Combine drills because I wanted to see what events correlate with real life players. Mm-hmm. Everybody gets excited about 40 times and stuff like that. Most positions, it doesn't correlate. Like for defensive linemen, it's all about the 3-cone, this, that, whatever. But for running backs, it's not. It's broad jump. For receivers, it's verticals, right? But for linebackers, it really does. If you got a speedy guy in the field or if you got guys that are really good in shuttles, it usually translates to a above average linebacker, and that's what he does well. He runs fast, he reads plays, he makes tackles. Guys like that have a home in the NFL. So I think, he might be like a little bit of an offshoot, but I've been talking him up all offseason. I seen him go in the first round of one of these IDP drafts I'm in. That guy maybe I don't know. That guy maybe just auto picked. Who knows? But I would dart throw at him. I wouldn't make him my number one priority. Gray surely, Colston surely, because I'm trying to get defensive linemen early, trying to snatch those guys up. So I take the LB 5 and 6 cloudy off the board. I'd come back later on, maybe in the third, look for Knight. I'm wondering offense, though. Do you got any other offensive guys that you were looking at?
Yeah, there's a late round tight end that was drafted to the Giants, Theo Johnson. Very nice. Athletic guy. And I love athletic tight ends, right? But we're still waiting on Waller. He's probably going to retire. So I'm going to keep an eye on the battle between him and Bellinger. Bellinger's been in the system. He'll probably start off being the main guy, but I could see Theo Johnson working his way in there and being a pretty dang good pass catcher in that offense.
So let me ask you though. I only got two safeties for the next part, so I think we'll kind of hang out here a little bit on the offense with you. Let me ask you, how sold are we with Darren Waller retiring? Because I feel it, I've heard it, I've been looking online. I haven't seen anything. And, he falls so deep in drafts. Are we 100 on this retirement? Is there anything that you heard that I don't know?
I haven't heard anything, but I'm just completely out on him right now.
Yeah.
There's no way I'm going to even draft him as a flyer because he didn't do that great last year. Last year, people were hyping him up for no reason at all. And he was jumping into like the 4th, 5th round of drafts. And it's like he didn't do anything to solidify his position in there. So
because the reason I ask is like, when you go tight end is loaded this year, when you go to the top 12, 15, but let's say you want to wait for those tier 3 and beyond guys. There's a whole bunch of names in there. You know what I mean? Like the Zach Ertz, the Darren Wallers, the Greg Dorlich.
Way down there. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if there's a throw, I don't know why you would want all these tight ends on your team, but I'm just curious because I haven't read enough about that situation. I was big on Bellinger too. Like last year, he made some moves, he made some plays, but I was shot in Waller. So any thoughts on Bellinger?
Well, yeah, I have him in a couple dynasty leagues. So every one that I have, I think I have him in 3 dynasty leagues. I made sure that I just got Theo Johnson, threw him on my taxi squad, just in case, because what if Bellinger becomes more of the blocking tight end and Theo Johnson's the guy that can go down the field, get the ball, and he can make plays after the catch. So
that's a good one.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of Theo Johnson's athleticism, and that's what can thrive at the tight end position.
When we were prospecting Theo, I think he was a 3 to 5 most of the year. Some people thought the landing spot wasn't great. I'm like, you're crazy. Darren Waller's a question. Bellinger's not really typed up enough. He can easily penetrate and move forward on that one. Do you have any other offensive guys that you're thinking about?
Yeah, I got one more.
Okay.
It's the Denver Broncos quarterback situation. They just drafted Bo Nix. They drafted him pretty high. They also brought in Zach Wilson, right? So right now I'm hearing Zach Wilson and Bo Nix are getting like the 50-50 split, but Stidham's the one that's getting the starting reps right now. And I believe that's just because he's familiar with that offense. I don't think they're going to start Stidham at all. It's going to be Bo Nix. I think Bo Nix at least starts, I would say 70% of the games, maybe 50.
You love for Zach Wilson out there?
That's what we want to keep an eye on. So they might throw in Stidham just because he knows that offense. And then whoever comes out on top between Bo Nix and Zach Wilson, I'm not a big Zach Wilson believer. I don't like him at all. Bo Nix, I think he can actually prove himself and earn that starting job. They're not going to be competitive. They might win 4 or 5 games this year. So why are you going to keep your rookie quarterback you just drafted in the first round on the bench? You want him in there. You want him to get some reps.
I was on PFF today, and they have a hilarious rating for Bo Nix. Like, it's like below, like Rotten Tomatoes score here. He's not fresh, according to PFF, right? And no one likes Zach Wilson. I mean, is it safe to assume Sean Payton's pretty much – his reputation's on the line with one of these guys? Something needs to happen, So I'm very curious how this Broncos situation ends up.
Yeah, no, I'm willing to take a late, deep flyer on Bo Nix in like a redraft league if it's super flex. A single quarterback, no, you don't want anything to do with any of these quarterbacks. But super flex is where it's at. Just, get them as your third quarterback, keep them on your bench, and just see what happens.
Yeah, you're talking about late flyers. A lot of drafts that I do late flyers on was defensive backs, because I know there's so many of them. It's like that candy, the good and plenty. There's so many good and plenties. Not only can I take a flyer late round, I can pick them off waivers. And it's just the way IDP plays out now. IDP plays out because everyone's in a nickel dime. So there's so many 5, 6, CB3 on a team you can play in some leagues. So believe it or not, I'd rather roster a Zach Wilson, a Mac Jones, a Bo Nix, some guys that like have very little value at best at a defensive back. But if I'm deep enough and I'm thinking about this and I'm taking a dart throw like you're saying, there's 2 defensive back rookies that I think could come in day one and challenge. And the mini camps are showing us this. The first one is Cole Bishop of the Bills. Okay, Cole Bishop, if you recall back when we were prospecting these guys, he was one of the top players in the country. He now joins a Bills defense that lost not 1 but 2 Pro Bowlers in Poyer and Hyde. Yep. Okay, so this offseason, they're going to need a lot of work. We assume Taylor Rapp's going to be one of the starters, okay? We'll pencil him in. But the second side, you got D. Delaney, Mike Edwards, DeMar Hamlin. I think that's easy competition given the pedigree. Cole Bishop was a second-round pick. He can do all these things. And right now, I'm on Twitter. The first look at Cole Bishop in minicamp is he looks good. I mean, he looks good without the pads on. He's flying all around the field. He's reading the playbook. He's making the plays. Cole Bishop should be a guy just off of pedigree alone. A lot of times too, Jamie, and I'll ask you about offense in a sec here, but usually these high picks, coaches feel compelled to want to start, correct?
Oh, of course. I mean, he was a second-round pick, especially with the void left by Hyde and Poyer. He's going to get thrown in there right away. The one thing that sticks out with him is he can play over the field. He can cover tight ends. He can play the safety position. And I believe he was a top contender for the Jim Thorpe Award last season. So, I mean, right there, that shows that he could step in right away, and especially with his draft capital, I think he's going to be an instant starter.
Yeah, and that too. I mean, you're not just you don't get a second-round draft pick just to let him sit. You know what I mean? Draft pick. Nope. I don't see it. Now my next one's a little bit of a stretch because this guy got drafted number 78 overall. Okay, so he's not the Tyler Nubins, the Cole Bishops, the Cooper DeJeans of the world, but this guy's name is Calen Bullock. When we were prospecting, I had him as like a top 5-6 DB, right? And then when we were prospecting at the combine, he did pretty good for himself, right? Mm-hmm. He in college, he wasn't a bad dude, man. In college last season, he had 9 interceptions. Okay, top 5-6 safety prospect, depending on who you're talking to. Okay, now he gets a chance. He goes over to the Texans. The Texans have a starter with Jalen Petrie, but the other side has a guy who's constantly getting hurt, and Jimmy Ward, and he's older now. He's a little bit over the hill. He's not the same player he was with the 49ers if you watch tape, okay? Bullock profiles as a single high deep cover safety. That's what he does. He covers deep down the field. He'll cover well in that back half of the coverage scheme. Covering probably the deepest. The cloud. When you're going back and covering. I can see him getting a lot of play considering the Texans' schedule, especially if they make a deep run to playoffs like we all think. The Texans are all in, right? A guy like Calen Bullock is going to be up against the Josh Allens, the Patrick Mahomeses, this, that, whatever. You're going to have to get that back end figured out if you want to be in part of these shootouts. So this is a bit of a stretch, but I don't think it is considering the competition he has to beat out. It's not saying much. And on that note, too, I think the Texans are thinking what I'm thinking, Jamie, because they brought in Ricochet. They got Stingley over there. They got whatever. So I think they're trying to secretly, not only build defense, but I think they're trying to build that back four, that defensive back core. And I think Bullock could be a guy in the NFL, and he could play for years.
Yeah, he was a third-round pick. The Texans are a high-powered offense, so teams are going to have to try to keep up with them. They're going to have to pass the ball a lot. So there you go. That's going to give him more opportunities to get those deep passes, intercept them. The only thing that worries about me is the speed score. He wasn't a very fast speed scorer. But
he covers well. He covers deep. He catches the ball.
He does cover well. So, he's already going to be back there, so he doesn't really need to run that fast. But he'll get his opportunity just because of that offense is going to be
these mini camps are so exciting to me. I know they're not really doing much. There's no score, but it kind of puts the chess pieces on the board to me, especially with rookies. Rookies need time to develop, but I think these guys here, we mentioned a lot this episode. I think these guys here have a great shot of doing stuff. You'll get to see who's going to be the guy. You're going to get to see who Maybe they'll challenge for green dot. Jamie, I was going to ask you on this show. I was looking at the Vikings. You had Ivan Pace Jr., who was historically the green dot. He's not a rookie. I just want to throw him in here. And Blake Cashman, who's coming over as kind of like a refugee from the Jets, since he's coming over. So Ivan Pace, Blake Cashman. I had my money on Pace, but right now these mini camps are showing us Blake Cashman as the green dot. Do you have a side at debate, the Blake Cashman, Ivan Pace, or are you just kind of watching it going with the flow?
I'll watch it. I don't expect Pace to get it, honestly. He was undrafted. I didn't even know he was on the Vikings. So he just must have got signed then, right?
Blake Cashman, yeah, he just recently signed over from the Texans. It's weird because Cashman and Greener came over. And Hunter went to the Texans, so it was almost like an inadvertent trade. But, there's plans for both of those guys. I'm just curious. I'm excited to see how it plays out. May not be the way I want it to, but it's gonna play out.
I think Cashman's going to get this over Pace, in my opinion. Blake Cashman kind of profiles as that as Jerome Baker type, I think.
And you know what?
He's just got the better metrics. Like he's faster, more agility, more burst. He's got more draft capital, so we'll see.
Well, beautiful about this time of year.
Nope, you're cutting out again.
Nobody really knew what's going on. So it's hit or miss this time of year because no one really knows what's going on. Come Labor Day weekend, we'll know for sure. But if you're right, Jamie, somebody's going to get incredible value late in the ADP. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. I'll tell you what, we did a lot this episode. Anybody that we missed, anybody that you're thinking about, and tell the audience where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me over at Going for Two. I do the Tuesday cheat sheet. We're doing every other week right now until close to the season. We'll start doing it every week. I also do the Start Sit show every Sunday over at Going for Two, and then started doing IDP content over here with Steve, Fancy Six Pack.
Excellent. Looking forward to it, and we'll see you guys next week. We'll see you then. Take care.